Welcome to Candlewick Library. I'm Cheryl. Today I'm doing a homeschool update. It's been a while since I did the last homeschool update of our first term, so this is for our second term. Books that my daughters read. Did they like it? Did they not? Some of the subjects that we have discontinued, some of them that we have finished and we like them or don't like them, and things that we might still be doing. First, I'm going to start with my youngest daughter. Madeline is 14 and in eighth grade. Yes. Something with homeschool. Kids always forget what grade they're in. Apparently I do too. So since the last term, she was doing the fairy tale retellings, reading the original and then the retelling. So she read The Snow Queen and then she read Breadcrumbs by Anne Ursu. And I had pre-read this and I thought she would like it. I think this is a really solid retelling, but she did not. She hated this. And part of that is that Maddie is very sensitive to blood and violence of any kind, even the word blood. So she felt like this was too violent. And I just didn't think about it at the time because it was all the way last summer that I read it. It didn't stick out to me as too violent, and so I didn't remember that. But yeah, she didn't enjoy this. So if you or your kid do not mind a little bit of blood, you might like it. I think it's good. She just didn't enjoy it. Then she read Snow White and Rose Red, and then this retelling, The Captain and Miss Winter by Sally Britton. And this is a pretty short one, but she did not enjoy this either. She said this was really cheesy. I read it. I thought it was cute. It is a little cheesy, but she thought it was cheesier than I thought it was. I could just see that she is not enjoying the fairy tales. I told her, I said, when I gave you a couple of different options of themes for your books this year, I was surprised that you wanted to do the retellings because there is a lot of romance and some violence in fairy tales. You said you wanted to, so I did tell her that I would switch up the rest of her reading after the next book that was in between fairy tale retellings, because every few books I would throw in one that wasn't a fairy tale just to kind of break it up. So the last one she read was The 13th Princess by Diane Zayler. And this is one of my oldest daughter's favorite authors for retellings. And Maddie actually enjoyed this one. So she said this one was much better than all the other ones. So out of all of the fairy tale retellings she's read the whole year, this was the only one that she really actually liked. So the book that she read after those was Where the Mountain Meets the Moon by Grace Lynn. And she thought this was okay. This is the daughter that doesn't enjoy reading. So if she likes a book, that is a good thing. And she liked this one. She didn't love it as much as my oldest daughter did back when she read it. She then read The Happy Hollisters by Jerry West and read a few of the books in this series, and she thought they were okay as well. I think they're really cute. They're just very simple mysteries from, I think, the 1950s, and she thought that they were okay. She didn't really have anything terribly bad to say about them, but she didn't love them. So the last book she finished before the end of term was When Stars Are Scattered, and this is the one I read for middle grade March that I then assigned to her right after I read it. And this was her favorite book so far of the whole school year. She had a few things that she didn't like about it. She felt like it told the story more than showing it through the pictures. And she is an artist, so that is something that sticks out to her. But she thought the story was really good and she thought the art was good. As for my oldest daughter, Abigail, she is a senior. She's 18. She read all of the books that were required, but then she read a lot of books that weren't as well. Some of them I don't have with me because she tends to take my books and keep them in her room if she likes them. And then I have to try to get them back. She read the manga classic version of The Count of Monte Cristo, and she absolutely loved it. It was one of her favorite books that she's ever read, and I think she's going to want to read the original. I might have said that in the last one, but I'm pretty sure she read it in this term. She does really enjoy reading the manga classic versions of books, which I do too. I think that they're really well done. But I had thrown in some of these classic starts for her as well, and that's going to sound really stupid when she's 18. My 14-year-old, it makes a little bit more sense, but they're still very young for them. But I occasionally have read these and thought that they were a really good kind of overview of a story. And so it would tell me whether I was interested in reading the whole one or not. And that was kind of my goal with this, was because she had so many books to read that were bigger, to give her a small one and then she could decide if she wanted to read the full Prince and the Pauper or not. And this was one that my younger daughter did like last year. And so I gave this to my daughter, and then she wrote a report about it, talking about how she did not want to read any more of these classic starts because she probably would have liked the original, but this was not fun. So I learned my lesson. Next, she read The Blue Castle by Lucy Montgomery, and she has read Anne of Green Gables, and we've read Anne of Avonlea together. She read Emily of New Moon. But she said that this is her favorite. She thinks this is way better than Anne of Green Gables and Emily of New Moon. And that actually surprised me. But yeah, she loved this book. She talked about it for quite a while, about all the things that she thought that Lucy Montgomery did better in this, and how the character growth, and she felt like there wasn't any wasted words in this book, I think is one of the things that she said. But yeah, she really loved this. If you remember from my video about her literature this year, I was doing time periods. So it was literary time periods. And so if you see a pattern, it's just going up through time. And I assigned different authors from different time periods. So the next one was the very first Nancy Drew, The Secret of the Old Clock. And she loved this. I wasn't sure if she would or not, but she loved it so much that she then went through the rest of our Nancy Drews. So in the last couple of months, she's read book 1 through 21. Yeah, books 1 through 21 of Nancy Drew. So she's waiting on me to buy more. I tend to pick them up whenever I see them at a used bookstore. Next, I had assigned her The Little White Horse by Elizabeth Goudge, because I love Elizabeth Goudge, and I felt like The Little White Horse is a good introduction to her for teenagers. And I felt like that was a book she would like, but she actually didn't. And she only ended up reading about half of it before she asked me if she could stop, because she wasn't enjoying the book. And since she reads so much and it's not something where I'm trying to get her to read, I let her DNF that book. And she immediately started the next assigned book, which I don't have because she has stolen it. It is in her room still. It's The Man in the Brown Suit by Agatha Christie, and she loved it. That is my favorite Agatha Christie book, and so I was really happy that she liked it as well. She came down and said, okay, I need more books like that right now. So then she started reading books off my Agatha Christie shelf. She's read Mysterious Affair at Styles and The Death on the Nile. And yesterday she finished The Murder of Roger Ackroyd. Right now she's reading Death in the Clouds. So she has definitely joined me in being an Agatha Christie fan now. A couple of the other books she read over the last month were Lost in Darkness by Michelle Greep. She actually, she really loved The Man of Shadow and Mist, that was the Dracula retelling. And I had told her that this one was sad and that I didn't like this one as much as that one, but she decided to read it anyway, and she loved this one too. She said she didn't mind the sad ending, and she thought this was just as good as the other one. And then, of course, she read a bunch of the James Ponti books that I read in middle grade March as well, and she's really enjoying these too. Now for some of the school subjects that we have finished up. Last week, before we started spring break, she finished the first volume of The Wonders of the Human Body. This is an anatomy and physiology course from Master Books, and this is actually a 1-year course, but I really wanted her to get through both volumes before she was done with school, and so I have her on kind of I have her going through them much faster. And she really liked it. She was not excited about doing this to begin with, but she actually finds it really interesting, and she was upset a few days when she didn't have science. So I told her, well, you can move ahead anytime you want to. You can do science on days when I haven't assigned it. But yeah, she's really, really enjoying this, and I feel like this is so much better than the biology I did in high school. It's a lot more detailed, and it has spurred all sorts of interesting things in her, where she's understanding more about how things in the body and brain work. And so she's reading labels on food more. She's doing research on her own. It definitely was a jumping off point for her. Madeline is also doing independent science this year, and she's also doing it from Master Books. She's doing Master Books General Science Year 1, Survey of the Earth and Sky. So the first unit was weather, and the second unit was astronomy. I wouldn't say that she absolutely loves it, because it is a lot of reading and a lot of worksheets, but she is enjoying it. It's not something she's complained about ever. Another thing we were doing this year is this culinary life skills. These are from Abeka, and it's supposed to be kind of like a home ec class, and it was teaching kitchen safety and about food and cooking. And we're going to pick this up again later, but we stopped doing it because they were not enjoying this. And I feel like I was looking for something that would just help me to teach them the basics and make sure I wasn't missing anything. But I think that it's actually going to be a better approach to learn about nutrition first. And we did end up buying a new nutrition that I'll share in the next video about our next term. But I thought we probably should get a really good understanding for all of us in that area first, and then have them learn cooking through the things that they enjoy that we make already, rather than what was happening in this book where we were making recipes of things that they weren't liking, and so I knew they weren't going to make them again. So we're pausing on this. We may or may not come back to it. I don't think it was bad. I think there were some really good things in it, but it wasn't accomplishing what I wanted it to right now. Also, Maddie was doing Math for a Living Education from Master Books, and we have stopped that. Math has always been a struggle for her, and we have tried out so many different math courses to find ones that really work for her. And I found that she was starting to really struggle again. And I had my oldest daughter look at her math and tell me, could you have learned this? Because she's a lot stronger in the math that Maddie's doing right now. Abby's really strong at. And so I had her look at it and tell me, would you be able to learn this from this course book? And she said no. So I kind of talked to Maddie about what it was she didn't like about math, what it was she would like about math. And we ended up just researching a bunch of different curriculum that we haven't tried yet. And we ended up going with Matthew C. And we did start that before this term ended. And so far it's going really well. And she's been getting 100% on almost everything. So that's very promising. And I will, again, I'll share that in the video about what we're going to do next term. And hopefully it will continue to work for her. We finished up our Answers in Genesis Year 3 Bible study. And this is one that, again, it's for younger kids, I think. And you go through it, it's a year's worth, but we're going through them very quickly. And Year 4 was not out yet. So as soon as we finished this, while I was waiting for Year 4 to come out, I got Foundations in Faith by Israel Wayne, and we started using that. Now I do have Year 4, but I just have it on the shelf, and we're going to finish Foundations in Faith first because we are really enjoying that so far. And these Answers in Genesis Bible studies, though, I really love them. I think that they're really good, and I think that they're helping my kids with foundations of the overall story of each book. And like I said, laying that foundation for us to dive a little bit deeper as we get further along. I can't remember if I shared in the last update video that we stopped doing the Christian Heritage course where we were using this book, For You They Signed. There's nothing wrong with it. I just feel like this is something that is harder to read aloud. And so this is something I'll probably have my youngest daughter do later on in high school. So that is something we also stopped doing. We finished our Introduction to Logic by Jason Lyle from Master Books, and this was a hit. We really enjoyed it. I think that it did a really good job of teaching logic. It was hard. It is definitely an advanced course, but even my younger daughter, being only in 8th grade, she could really get this. We took about a year to get through the whole thing, so we had started in our last school year and then finished it up last term. And now we're going through the Tuttle Twins Logical Fallacies book just to review the fallacies we learned from here, and keep them fresh in their mind. But it's funny how many times my kids have used this course in normal everyday life to point out fallacies. For my oldest daughter's spelling, we've been using this book, Spelling Power, for a few years now, and she finished it up. She did the very last test in the book. My youngest daughter did not like this as her spelling very well, so we stopped and used something else for her. But for my oldest daughter, who really wants to have a cut and dry spelling list, it worked really well. It had some very hard words there by the end, and it would have usually about 30 to 40 words. And what she would have me do is just read her the list, and she would just spell them out loud. And if she missed one, she would have me add it to the next week. And so that's how we used it. But yeah, this was a hit. We really liked it. We also finished up part 1 of From Adam to Us for history, from Knotgrass history. And this is great. We're on book 2 now, and this comes with a map book, a timeline book, and a little review book and tests, things like that for the girls to fill out. And I've really enjoyed it. This has been my favorite history we've used so far. I think in my last update, I talked about this Explore the Earth geography from Master Books, that we had finished this up and that we had really liked it. And that was just an overview of the whole Earth and geography in general. And then we finished Explore the Holy Land right before Christmas. So I might have talked about this before. We're still really enjoying that series. We're in the next one right now. I didn't bring it in. I forgot to bring it in here, but we're just really still enjoying it. We don't do the activities that are for younger kids, and we just do the reading, and then they do review sheets. And we have found that they really bring the parts of the world that you're visiting to life. And as far as language arts, they're both still doing what they've been doing all year long. And they've both been enjoying it. They both are doing well. And then with Abby, she's also doing the Life of Fred math, and she's actually starting to have a little bit of a challenge with that, but she's almost done with Algebra 1. Her brain almost works like a calculator. She can do math faster sometimes in her head than I can do on a calculator. And Life of Fred worked really well with her and her learning style because it would show her math in real life situations. And that really helps her to picture it and to feel why math is important. But now she's getting to the algebra that you're really only going to use in a real life situation in certain circumstances. And so she's having a harder time picturing that. And so she's starting to struggle with it a little bit. And so we're going to probably pause on that for the next little while after we get back to school and do something a little different. And I will talk more about that in the next update. We actually have a big change we're going to do in our homeschool. And it's going to be a little bit of a weird thing that a lot of people aren't going to do. So I will have that video coming in a week or two, and I will let you know what we're planning on doing as a whole in our homeschool and some of the new subjects we're going to be doing over the next term. I have mentioned in a couple of videos recently that I was hoping to do more homeschool content on here than I have been doing. That is my goal, is to do probably at least 2 homeschool videos a month. And one of the things I'm planning on doing is to do a best of. Talk about different subjects and all of the different curriculum we've used, because we've been doing this for quite a few years now. And we've used a lot of different kinds of curriculum. We've used a lot of math. We've used multiple history, multiple science, multiple language arts, and lots of different electives. Sometimes I feel like a lot of homeschoolers online, they come across as they're the experts in homeschool because they've been doing it for a long time, or they seem to have it all figured out. And so sometimes I feel like I don't, even though I've been homeschooling as long or longer than some of them. And I was thinking about it the other day and talking to my mom and my sister, and my sister said something about how I should help people to figure out what to use for their kids, because I had a lot of knowledge about curriculum across the board. And having older kids, and a lot of people homeschooling right now seem to have younger kids that are just about to start. And sometimes, I think I've said that before on here, that I sometimes feel like that imposter syndrome because I'm still figuring it out. And as you see, sometimes curriculum's still not working, and we're still learning new curriculum and new things that work and don't work. And so I sometimes have a hard time feeling like that I have a lot of advice to give. But when my sister was saying that, I thought, no, I kind of do, actually. I do have a lot of experience now with this homeschooling thing. And so one of the things I want to do is I want to make videos about each different subject, sharing the different curricula that we have used and what I think the good things and bad things were about each one. I can't do that until our basement is finished, because a lot of our old curriculum is packed away right now, and I would like to be able to show it. So hopefully over the next few months, probably going into the summer, I will be making videos like that. I also think I'll probably make a few videos about what I would do if I was starting over right now. And since we didn't homeschool from the very beginning, what I would do if I actually was starting from the very beginning. So let me know if any of those sound interesting to you, or if you have any other questions about homeschooling or things that you would like me to make videos about.